Well, hello, my friends, and how are you? Welcome to the Jazz Real Book. I am your host, Jay Sweet. Today, I will share my conversation with John Lee, and returning to the show is Paquito D'Rivera. So, the two came on to promote a concert in which WBGO will present the Dizzy Gillespie All Stars with John Lee and special guest Paquito D'Rivera as part of the All That Jazz concert series at the Union County Performing Arts Center's Hamilton stage on Saturday, June 6th, with performances at 5 p.m. and again at 8 p.m. And guests can also enjoy cocktails and live piano by my good friend Leonieke Scheuble at the WBGO Piano Lounge before each show. The concert celebrates the music and the legacy of Dizzy Gillespie through performances of classics, including A Night in Tunisia, Salt Peanuts, Groovin High, and others. Now, bassist and producer John Lee has performed or did perform with Gillespie from 1984 through 1993 in the Dizzy Gillespie Quintet, the Dizzy Gillespie Big Band, and the Grammy-winning United Nations Orchestra. Following Gillespie's passing, Lee was asked by the Gillespie family to continue presenting the trumpeter's music through the Dizzy Gillespie All Stars. Beyond his work with Gillespie, Lee has collaborated with major artists including Sonny Rollins, McCoy Tyner, Roy Hargrove, Aretha Franklin, while also producing more than 100 recordings as co-founder of Jazz Legacy Productions. And then, again, we welcome back Paquito D'Rivera, an internationally recognized musician, one of the most important figures in Latin jazz and contemporary classical music. Born in Havana, Cuba, D'Rivera has earned 16 Grammys and Latin Grammy Awards while building a career that seamlessly blends jazz, Afro-Cuban music, Brazilian traditions, tango, and classical composition. As a recipient of both the NEA Jazz Masters Award and the National Medal of the Arts, he has become known for his virtuosic clarinet and saxophone work, as well as his role as a global ambassador for Latin jazz. His appearance with the Gillespie All-Stars connects directly to Gillespie's own pioneering fusion of bebop and Afro-Cuban music traditions, and of course, he also worked frequently with Dizzy Gillespie as well. Now, sometimes having two guests can be a challenge, especially when we do these interviews over Zoom and such. So in this case, it was a challenge with volume. It was a lot hard really, to hear John Lee. And Paquito, his volume was very clear. He also speaks kind of energetically, which helps. So we did our best to enhance John's volume in post-production, but it was really hard. You can hear him, but you have to listen a little bit more carefully. But it was a great conversation, and if you struggle to hear the conversation, we also put this up on YouTube, on my YouTube channel, and therefore you can actually read the captions as well. So that's an option for you. But without further conversation, I'm very excited to welcome in John Lee and Paquito D'Rivera, two very substantial figures in this music that we call jazz. Check it out. How you guys doing?
Jolito, hello everybody.
How are you?
Paquito, I wish you would do that for about a half hour more. I love hearing you play.
I can make talk about it.
Well, I'd like to welcome back Paquito D'Rivera to the show, and for the first time, John Lee. Welcome, John.
Nice to be here.
Good. John, you're a little quiet. Let me see if I can get you a little louder there.
He's very soft-spoken. Sometimes.
Do I need to raise the microphone myself? Or?
Yeah. Could you try that if possible? So a little muted, muffly sounding.
Yeah, I'm not really sure where that is. How about if I just speak louder?
Oh, that helps. I mean, I can hear you.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Well, yeah. So let's do the thing. I mean, we're here to specifically to talk about a very important and exciting performance, which will be taking place. Well, first, let me talk about what it is. It's a celebration of the music of Dizzy Gillespie. And it will be taking place at the Hamilton Stage in Rahway, New Jersey. This is part of WBGO's concert series called All That Jazz, featuring the Dizzy Gillespie Alumni Ensemble or Band.
Dizzy Gillespie All Stars.
Dizzy Gillespie All Stars. Excellent. And here to talk about it is John Lee and Paquito D'Rivera, certainly two Dizzy Gillespie All Stars. Who better to speak of it? So maybe we could just start off by talking about what people can expect from this performance.
Well, in jazz music, you cannot say exactly what's going to happen. Sometimes in this type of music, you never know what's going to happen. Not even if you are going to get paid.
That is true.
You can ask Dizzy about that experience in Brazil, right, John?
And Argentina and many places. We're going to do a lot of Dizzy never played just his own music. He loved to play other composers besides himself. And he always said, "I love the music of south of the border," all the time. So that was one of his favorite quotes. But we'll do a mix of Afro-Latin, Afro-Cuban, bebop, and just some of the standards that he loved to play.
Excellent. And how big is the ensemble for this performance?
Well, there'll be 4 of us, plus Paquito as our guest. So we'll have Freddie Hendricks on trumpet.
Oh, wow.
Great young pianist, Alex Collins on piano.
Great. Cool. And so let's talk about, if we could. So for those of the listeners who are learning about jazz and not jazz enthusiasts, perhaps, Dizzy Gillespie is certainly a monumental name in this music. Could you talk maybe just about Dizzy Gillespie's importance to the jazz genre, if you will?
Paquito, do you want to say something to that, or shall I?
Well, being a jazz musician is being in the jazz music world is like this discovering things every day. Every tune is different. So, as I said before, half joking, half serious, is that you never know what's going to happen. Because Dizzy, for example, wrote beautiful music, but he never played the same thing twice. So the same thing we try to do is a lot of fun. It's a constant adventure. That is the way I describe it.
You know, one of the early theories of jazz and about innovation, and Dizzy was the first, I guess Paquito was the first to combine Afro-Cuban and Afro-Latin rhythms with jazz, and from Brazil with the Bossa Nova movement too. What I loved about my years with Dizzy, we always played many different kinds of music. You know, we didn't just play swing. We played bebop. He wanted to do a funky tune now and then. We do Afro-Cuban, some of the great songs from that era. It's always changing, you know. He always kept it very interesting.
Yeah.
Peter and I were Peter was musical director of the United Nation Orchestra.
Right.
It's the same way. He explored many different composers and including Paquito.
Yeah, great. Cool, John. What I'll do is I'll jump up your volume when we do the edit, so hopefully we can all hear you a little bit more. But yeah, that's very cool. I mean, if you could talk about perhaps like your first meetings with Dizzy, how did you come to meet him and to know him? Let's start with Paquito, if I could.
Well, my story with this is well, it's funny as always. I arrived home. It was a very warm day. Well, it was in Havana, you know, very warm day, and I found a piece of paper. It really was one of those grocery paper, brown paper, and say, "Paquito, we have been looking for you. Where are you?" Dizzy Gillespie. I said, "What type of joke is this?" We are talking about 1978 in Havana. You know, it's like you are not supposed to receive a letter from Dizzy Gillespie in Havana in 78. And what happened here? Then I went to the grocery store in the corner, and then Jesus, the bodeguero, what we call it, told me, did you receive the note? We used to do a lot of practical jokes in those days. And I said, what note are you talking about? And I said, well, there was a guy here, a black guy, chubby, dressed like Sherlock Holmes, looking for you.
Okay.
A black guy, chubby black guy dressed like Sherlock Holmes. Say, yeah, with a pipe and everything. Say, that must be Dizzy Gillespie. Of course, the guy said, who the hell is Dizzy Gillespie? He had no idea.
Wow.
Later on, I found out that there was an enormous jazz cruise who stopped in Havana for some reason. That was in the days of Jimmy Carter. And in that boat came people like Stan Getz, Johan Braquin, Rudy Rutherford, Ea Falahain,
Oh, wow.
and Dizzy Gillespie. So they called me from the government that, well, there is a group of musicians here that they want to meet the Cuban musicians, and you are the guy who played jazz, and then you are supposed to arrive there to come to the jam session. And that was the way I met Dizzy, and that friendship, thanks God, lasted to the end of his life.
Excellent. Yeah, and John, could you talk about your first meeting with Dizzy?
Well, I just want to add, the year after the event Paquito was talking about, I met Paquito in 1979 during the Havana Jam.
Oh, okay.
Records did. A whole bunch of us came down with Cuba. Paquito was playing with a great band we put together with Chucho Valdez called the Urakire. And then shortly after, I didn't join Dizzy until 5 years after that, in 1984. Recommended by Bob Cranshaw, great bass player.
Sure.
And that was the start of 10 years.
Wow. 10 years with Dizzy Gillespie. I mean, what an experience that had to have been. In terms of like Dizzy as a band leader, in my Ray Brown book, I remember him talking about Dizzy Gillespie and how important and impactful he was in his life. And he had told a story in which after playing with the band for a little while, he said to Dizzy Gillespie, how am I doing? And he said, you're doing fine, but you're not playing any of the right notes. And he said, you're playing, he said something to the effect of, you're playing the right notes, but not the notes that I want to hear. And he sat him down at the piano and explained what he was looking for. Do you have any maybe comments or some reflections of Dizzy, how he was as a band leader and maybe even as a teacher?
Well, for me, one of the most profound things about Dizzy was every night he had fun. No matter how hard the travel was, once we hit the stage, it was a party. He was having a good time, and he just loved to be on stage and loved to perform. Tito's the same way to me. Once you're on stage, you're such a great entertainer and got such a great connection with the audience.
Right.
You guys have that in common, Paquito. You connect immediately with the audience and make the audience feel a part of the show in a way. That makes sense.
It makes total sense. Yeah, I mean, when I saw Paquito perform last, yes, he has this ability to draw people in, certainly. And I do sort of like, not having met Dizzy Gillespie, I kind of could see parallels between what I think their personalities or his personality would be, sort of effervescent, drawing people in. Paquito, would you like to comment on how Dizzy was as a band leader, teacher, and such?
A very important element of Dizzy's personality as a band leader or as a person himself is his huge sense of humor. And that is not in a contradiction with his seriousness in music. Two of my favorite musicians, of two different worlds, during all my life is Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart and Dizzy Gillespie. Both of them people with great sense of humor. So it's important not to take yourself too serious, you know. And Dizzy wasn't that it wasn't a specialist in that perfect balance between seriousness and sense of humor, and it's reflected in his music and in his life in general. He was also a very generous person in terms of he not only created a great career from himself, but also he helped many of us to build our own career. I am an example of that. You know, I remember the great Toots Thiemann has a stroke in 1980. Dizzy, he was supposed to do a tour with Dizzy in Europe as the guest artist with the Dizzy Gillespie Quartet. And Dizzy called me to do that tour instead of Toots Thiemann. And I was in shock because Dizzy, I am not famous like Toots Thiemann, you know? So I don't know what to tell you. Say, you want to do the tour or you don't? Or what? Yes, sir. And there was the following year, I have my own tour in Europe. That was very generous of Dizzy to do that, having so many choices. That's an example of just a little example of the generosity of Dizzy Gillespie, professional.
Yeah. He seemed like a kind of guy who was willing to share musical ideas and knowledge in a and he was probably very articulate about the way in which he did it, right? Very bright gentleman as well.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that would.
Dizzy loved people. He loved being around people, and he loved. I always say Dizzy treated the garbage man the same way he treated the president. Everybody was the same. Paquito, the story about one of my favorite stories is they invited Dizzy to the White House to bring Sarah Vaughan with Richard Nixon. And Dizzy called and said, Earl Hines has not been to the White House. He's retired now, but can we bring him with us? They said, of course, that would be great. So they go there during the dinner. I don't know if you know this, because during the dinner, Nixon snuck up behind Dizzy and he tapped him on the shoulder while Dizzy was eating, and he said, Diz, could you ask Earl to play a number for us since he's here? And Dizzy said, you're the president, you ask him.
You are the president. You are. This was fantastic. He was a Martian. He was from out there.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting because I show my students this clip of how I first got to know when I get to Dizzy Gillespie in my jazz history courses and such, and we talk about sort of his personality as well as his music, of course. But I said the first time I remember seeing or hearing Dizzy Gillespie as a kid was on the Muppet Show. And I'm sure you guys have seen that. If you haven't seen it, it's endlessly fascinating. And that's an example of somebody who was at the highest level of artistry, who clearly didn't take himself so seriously that he couldn't still entertain.
Sense of humor. That is a very important thing. You don't have to miss that in your life because it's very useful to have a good sense of humor. And
Yeah.
this was the first example for that, and Mozart too.
Yeah, Paquito, there's a new series just started on Mozart. I think it's HBO. I think it was a new series called Amadeus. Started on last weekend. I have to text you what station that is. But yeah, I mean, it was just like the beautiful thing. It's funny, in my life, some of the greatest, most famous people I've met are just like you and I. There's no pretense, they don't consider themselves above you. They're just equal with everyone and make everybody feel good.
Yeah. No, it's true, so true, especially in this field of all styles of music. But having interviewed so many musicians who I always held and I still do at the highest esteem, and admittedly in the beginning I was very nervous, but I mean they are people, and they're very generous at the time. And fortunately, I've had the opportunity to play with some of my heroes too. And yeah, very rarely have I. It happens, but very rarely have I been disappointed. In that regard. And it seems like Dizzy was just even above that, like just like really draws people in the same way Paquito, like when you talk right away, it's like it's a very warm feeling. John, you as well, but it's that you mentioned on stage, it's just that effervescence about him. Now, did you ever witness him getting angry? Did he ever must have had a different side to his personality too.
Yeah.
Well, he had that side too. He can be, yeah, especially when he don't see his money. He's not his money around. They say, what happened? So he can be very angry too, like everybody else, but never in a nasty way.
No. And what upset Dizzy more than anything, and you got a little of that in TV also, being late. Yeah,
Oh yeah.
and I remember I showed up for a gig. I was hanging out with another musician, and we were in Baltimore, and we were supposed to start at 9. I walked in at 8:30. He pushed me out. He said, if you're serious about this music, you'll be here an hour before the gig, getting ready, practicing, da 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 da. But then he let it go. That was it. He made his point, and he was back to being busy. But it's like don't mistake his kindness for weakness ever.
Oh, exactly.
He would cut your head off if he had to. It's not his nature.
That's really interesting. Yeah. Even the professionalism was always there, right? And he had, of course, the years of experience, even prior to being the bebop master, working with big bands as as a player, I think of Cab Calloway's band and the situation with Calloway, which is endlessly fascinating, and all the other bands he worked with. Yeah. And just one other question about Dizzy in terms of non-musical hobbies. What were some of the things that Dizzy Gillespie liked to do beyond just entertaining us endlessly?
Firecrackers. Remember the old firecrackers in his patio, and he's doing that at midnight, and everybody didn't know what happened. The third World War is here.
Yeah. Oh my God, he loved those. And a few times he put them in his luggage coming from some of the states where it was legal, and I was like, oh my God, there's firecrackers in your suitcase, But nothing's gonna happen. But he loved to shoot pool.
Okay.
He loved photography too. He had all kind of cameras and loved taking pictures. I don't know what happened to all those pictures, but he took a lot. And he liked to watch baseball games and basketball and bit of the sports. A lot of the guys from his era loved baseball.
Yeah.
And he loved tennis too.
Yeah.
He loved to watch tennis. I remember there was a period, that I had to play with him a couple of days. And in one of those games, at the Village Gate was that. At the Village Gate, they order, in the back line, they ordered a conga drum. There was a conga drum there, and I said, this is going to be playing conga. Well, he likes playing the conga, but I don't know what the conga is there. The thing, to make it a long story short, is that day was a celebration of a very important tennis match, a very important one. And this, he had a very small TV set, and he put it on top of the conga, and then while playing the set, he was watching the match.
It's funny you said that because I remember being in Paris during the French Open. We got all the best tickets, and the same happened in Australia. And I got to go to the Australian Open and Wimbledon. We knew a lot of people in tennis.
Yeah, I remember seeing a photograph. I think he was wearing plaid pants and holding a tennis racket.
Yeah.
I don't know if he was much of a tennis player, but at least in that moment he was playing.
He played a little bit. I have seen him, with the racket and the ball in front of him.
There's a few famous photographs of Dizzy in his underwear. Have you seen those? He had the wrong pants on, and he wanted to play, so he took his pants off. He's just got his underwear, and he's playing tennis.
Oh yeah, I remember that picture.
And I got those pictures.
I remember that. Yes.
Yeah.
There is a funny. Once we went to a sauna in Finland many years ago in that 1981 tour of Europe, and somebody took a picture of us in the sauna, totally naked. Three of our friends, Finnish friends and all that, and sent it to me, and I put it in the book that I wrote called My Sax Life. And then I called Dizzy as a joke and said, Dizzy, I have this picture of us naked in a sauna, and I think I am going to send it to Downbeat magazine. And I thought he was going to say, don't do that. And I said, oh, okay, but send me a copy also.
That sounds right.
He didn't care about it. Yes, send it to them and send me a copy too.
That's very funny. Oh, wow. Now, John, if I could, for a moment, talk about, because you've been involved with, presenting Dizzy's music, and I think it had something to do with a request from his wife, Lorraine Gillespie. Could you talk about how all these benefit, or not benefit, but shows, related to Dizzy's music came about?
Well, Lorraine, his wife called me about a year after Dizzy passed away and said, why don't you start some kind of ghost band? I said, well, he's going to be busy. We can't really have a ghost band. I said, but we could celebrate his music in some form or another, and that's how we started. I was producing records for a label called Shawnee at that time. I had a little success with a singer named John Lucien.
Mm-hmm.
He came to me and said, listen, we have some extra money running around. Would you like to do a personal project? And we did an album called Dizzy's 80th Birthday Party. And it did quite well. And that's kind of the beginning of that. A few years after that, we started the big band. And they're both still going. So
It's
makes
phenomenal.
me very happy. I love it. It's my, I love this. I didn't decide to do this, and I kind of fell into it, and it kind of just kept building up.
Yeah.
It's always the most fun I've ever had is playing with Dizzy, and a lot because of the variety of the different styles and the play every night.
Yeah, right. And I think sometimes people forget about one of the periods of Dizzy's music that of course, the bebop period and the Latin, uh, Afro-Cuban stuff that he did, but also he could be pretty funky, like in some of those records in the 70s, really leaning into more of a funk thing at times. And I think some people disregard those or forgot about, how he was a musician who would evolve, but his music was always was honest, and he never really got, as far as I remember, too deep into like the heavier rock jazz fusion thing. But with the funk thing, he kind of laid into that for a while.
It was very important for him to connect with the people. He didn't want to do stuff that was too complicated for them to understand, or there are a lot of references now. Music doing music for musicians.
Mm-hmm.
To reach everybody, and I think that's a problem sometimes.
Yeah, which is a very interesting thing when you think about bebop and him being one of the co-creators, or on the definitely very important to the movement. And that music for kind of, for some traditional listeners, it sort of alienated them, or it was, people were a little confused by it. But the way in which Dizzy Gillespie would present it, especially through his big band and such, he did make it almost more accessible, I think, to audiences who were maybe a little confused by it.
Yeah, and I have to say, I mean, too, to me, today in music, Paquito, if you see his live show,
Mhm.
it's when you remind me so much of Dizzy, because you go so many different places in the show, Paquito. The ballet, the bossa nova, samba, the classical piece, and that's to me what's we try to do a lot of songs. I should say this to one of Dizzy's best friends, Milt Jackson, the great vibraphonist. I went to see him one night at the Iridium, my wife and I. 75-minute set. And I realized that when he played 14 songs. No song, no song was longer than 6 or 7 minutes. Nobody took extra long solos, but the variety, it was so exciting. By the end of the set, my wife said, "It's over, it's over." And I looked at my watch. I said, "Well, yeah, they've been up there 75 minutes." But and I went in, I remember I went in the back and I said, "Dad, man, you played 14 songs." He said, "Yeah, I don't like all the long songs. Nobody wants to hear that crap, you know." And,
Uh,
but it was
which
so
is
interesting.
Very, very practical person too.
Yeah, very practical, and it was really a show, but it was a night of jazz. But the variety is what struck me. It was so entertaining. I got to hear him play ballad. It just I try to I like doing that. I'll write that one or two long drawn out songs, but the more songs I think the better for. One time I was standing on the side of I never told you this, Paquito. One time I was standing on the side of the stage with Dizzy, and he's kind of peeking at the people. I think there were about 2,000 people, and he turned to me and he said, "You know, only about 30% of those people know what we're doing."
mm,
He said the other 70%, it's a feeling, and they love the feeling, but they don't know what the hell we're doing.
Maybe he was right. Yeah.
But he said they love the feeling. That's why they're there. The way it makes them feel. That was
Of course.
that's his own assessment of what we're doing. So,
Not everybody listen to the music in the same way.
no,
It's an abstract. This see if I can pronounce. It's an abstract art. So everybody get it in a different way. Even if it's simple music, not everybody have the same sentiment, the same feeling for the music. But they are paying attention to what you're doing. They probably some of them don't have an idea of what you're doing, but they feel attracted to it.
mm.
That's important. That's a very smart way, very wise way to rationalize that.
Yeah, that's a great point because even when like again going back to my teaching, like when I have the students do a listening journal and they listen to Gillespie and they have to give a reflect, and very often they'll say, "I don't really know what's happening here, but I know I like it or I know it makes me feel good," and that seems to be exactly what you're talking about.
The same thing happened to me many years ago. And I was maybe 11, 12 years old when my father came home. My father was an admirer of Lester Young and the Benny Goodman Orchestra and that traditional type of music. He came home with my first LP of Charlie Parker with Dizzy Gillespie playing piano.
Right, right.
My lady was a trumpet player, and then he played the entire thing, and he asked me, "Do you like it?" And then I tell him, "No." He said, "Me either, but we can feel that they are very good musicians. Maybe we don't appreciate the style they play. We don't understand what they are doing, but you cannot deny that was played by great people,
yeah.
great musicians." So that's the way to explain it.
That
Yeah,
was, that was so revolutionary what they did with bebop because it was a brand new way of playing. And I think for those who created it, it was a very exhilarating kind of feeling. There's like this new, fresh way. A lot of the older musicians rejected it.
right.
There's some called it Chinese music. You probably heard that before. But,
Yeah, that
Chinese
was.
music, yeah. Joe Young, you call it that way. That's Chinese music, man.
but that
Yeah, I think
influence,
Armstrong as well, right? He didn't quite get it with it, or
and I think that influence of bebop is in all music now.
oh, totally. Yeah. No, I completely agree. Yeah, I mean it's endlessly important and endlessly fascinating. And again, I'm sure you've come across people who said to you at some point, "I didn't really know I liked jazz until I heard you guys play it live, or until I heard it live." That happens so frequently. So I definitely would recommend for those of you listeners who might be newer to the form, go and see the shows, go out see it live, go see a local trio at a coffee house or at a bar or what have you, and specifically go see this performance if you are in the New York, New Jersey area. Is there other performances scheduled, or is this a sort of a one-off for now?
Right now, this is our one treat of the year so far is to play a concert with Paquito, which You remind me so much of Dizzy Paquito all the time. So their whole spirit, the Quintet say you rather be, and musically. So, the Dizzy Gillespie Big Band will be at the Bruno in August for a week.
Oh, okay.
That's the 16th week plan. But yeah, come join us on June 6th.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
Yeah, so I recommend everyone come out to the show. Gentlemen, anything else that I missed? Anything else you want to you would like to mention?
Yes, I want to add something. Another important factor in the career of the fun of working with Dizzy Gillespie is the good taste in picking his bass players.
yeah.
And John Lee is one of them. So not another one. A very special one. So see you in very soon. That we are going to play some music that we don't know how to end.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I feel the same way about Paquito. It's such a joy every time we get to interact.
Yeah, I mean the people who moved in and out of Gillespie's orbit are numerous, and many of them have gone on to achieve such great things, including the two of you, certainly. And we're very fortunate that that you're doing this, and I'm very thankful that you're keeping this music alive.
Many of them are gone. We're
Yes.
two of the last ones left, Paquito and I, who really got to know Dizzy. There's still a handful of us. But,
Yeah, absolutely. I remember years ago having the great opportunity to talk to James Moody in an interview, and yeah, I mean, everyone who came across this guy was, I've never heard a negative thing,
All right. Yes.
So great. So,
you
gentlemen,
I'll add one more thing, Paquito. I don't know.
Sure.
So, maybe about 10 years after Dizzy passed, I ran into the great Johnny Griffin, and tenor saxophone. And he came up to me and said, John, doesn't feel like Dizzy's gone, right? I could still feel him. And I could still feel him every day. It almost transcends normal, transition. But you see, I'm talking about, Paquito? Can you still feel him a bit? He had such a strong impression on us.
He was very. The shortest way to put it is very special. He's always in my heart and in my wall too. Look at that.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And Paquito made mention of Mozart and used Gillespie as in reference to him, and Dizzy Gillespie, certainly a figure who will be remembered and continue to be remembered for decades and millennium to come. And we're so thankful that he left us so many great recordings, and I'm so thankful for you guys for continuing the music and being part of his legacy and the stuff you've done beyond. I mean, obviously, incredible careers beyond Gillespie, but certainly certainly an important aspect in your lives, as I could tell. And thank you both so much.
Thank you.
Pleasure to be here.
Good to see you, Paquito. That's good.
Okay. I love it. Love it. Take care, gentlemen. Bye now.